So we're heading to App Promotion Summit 2025 in London. I'm gonna tag you along with me, show you some behind the scenes footage. I'll also be talking about the event, potentially midway through this vlog, or potentially at the end, we'll see. So the world of mobile app marketing is quite interesting to me. When I officially, or I guess more formally, got introduced to it 2 years ago, I was working for a mobile app based gaming company, and yeah, it was one of those experiences where even though the idea of mobile apps is, it's been around for about 17 years, so since 2008, that's when people really widely adopted it, it's still very young. There is a thriving community of mobile app marketers and entrepreneurs, so it's an interesting space to understand. It kind of reminds you of the early days of a lot of these performance marketing channels, whether it's paid, more specifically Facebook ads or Google search, where there was a community of people really creating content about it. Very current, there was a movement. So it's the same thing here. I believe App Promotion Summit is probably one of the bigger events that's specifically for mobile app marketing. Yeah, I'll be very honest, the price of the event is quite hefty. I'm coming in as an agency, so hopefully I can share some interesting insights at the event, from the event, and do some networking. And really, when I say networking, I mean building human connections, right? I know the term networking's not really used here in Europe. We don't like that term generally. So yeah, to conclude, this will be a day of networking, learning, having fun at the same time. I'm going to the event now, and there should be free breakfast apparently, so let's see what they have in store for me. Alright, ladies and gents, I will now transition into some B-roll. Peace. Okay, so we are at the Barbican. It's a place known for doing a lot of exhibitions to do with art. So it's a place I know true and well. Let me show you around. Okay, we're entering the venue. It's called the Maltcom at the Bury, London and Bury. Seems like a very posh venue. Let's check it out.
Thank you. Oh, what's the name?
Jonathan Lambs.
Morning, Karen.
Message on copying the big apps. I think many of us.
And when you mix those three ingredients together, then magic can happen. And in my team, so I'm not talking about the whole company here, I'm only talking about the person.
We can call it that you find the right segment, you can scale, and actually you can have different segments, and like multiple segments.
So to us, when we think about metadata, we think of it like a suggestion. Every time we update a customer's metadata, it's like telling the App Store and Play Store.
To compel all of our users have to go through the App Store listing, so we really need to make sure our install rate is high. We move into Activate, so actually turning those installers into users, making sure they're actually using the app, getting into those habits.
Have the issue of having, although it's deterministic, of having aggregated results rather than user level granularity. And with the MMPs, we now have a more estimated idea of what user level granularity looks like when we're looking at probabilistic.
Okay, co-creators, App Promotion Summit 2025 just finished a couple of days ago. I've had enough time to digest all the information throughout the one-day event, and it was very much an information-packed event. So what I'll do is conclude the vlog with some of those learnings. I have the bullet points on my phone, so I'm just going to read out all the points, and any interesting ones that I can expand on, I will. So the first one is allowing free premium tiers for countries with low buying power. So this is from the founder of Flow. Basically, if there are countries that can't afford your standard premium pricing for that premium tier, explore allowing the premium tier to be free. Right, and again, and a lot of that is down to the fact that Flow as an app, FLO, it's meant to have a positive mission for women, and I think it's kind of coinciding with what the brand is. So making it free for countries with low buying power makes a lot of sense, which you can explore for your mobile app. Next one is Flow has over 76 million monthly active users, or MAUs. The total addressable market is quite huge, so if you are creating or growing an app, make sure there's enough of a addressable market there in the first place. And that Flow as an app has really high retention, because that was first of mind when creating the app initially. So basically the lesson there is not to think about user retention after you've created an app. You think about retention before you even launch your mobile app. That's quite a smart strategy there. Next is user retention is affected by user habits. It's not solely product based. So this makes a lot of sense. As a marketer, there are aspects you can influence within your app or your SaaS in terms of retention, but there are apps where the retention is highly related to the user's habit. So let's say a dating app. There's going to be seasons you are in the mode of dating, so you use the app more often. There are seasons where you found a partner through it. You'll obviously stop using the app. So there are these variables that you have to think of. Next is if you are a VC funded mobile app, investors tend to like a 50-50 balance between your customer base, where 50% comes from organic channels, and then the other 50 comes from paid. Next point is, again, this is related to Flow, that apparently, they're starting to earn over $250 million per year. And the founder said that before that happened, the thought of that was, impossible until it happened. So, if you are creating a product that's highly valuable, you can, in theory, create an app that can have a yearly revenue above what your initial expectations are. Right, next few points I'll just read out. Investors are inquisitive and numbers driven. This makes a lot of sense. Next one, run as many experiments as possible. And this theme of experimenting, it was a consistent narrative throughout most of the talks that I joined. And when you think about mobile app marketing, there are so many elements that you can experiment on. Metadata, creatives, advertising platforms, messaging, the actual user experience of your onboarding flow, the experience of the product itself. So there's many elements to it, and you improve your specific metrics through experimenting. As you learn from the experiments, you grow as an app. Next is to innovate, improve on what is and improve on what was. MTA, multi-touch attribution, and even though there are tools out there to help you with that, there are a couple of mobile apps that actually build that specific feature for their analytics or marketing teams in-house, which is ideal, right? You want to have a team you want the marketing team to be able to understand attribution across all the different touch points, not just last click. Incrementality testing, this is basically just ways of testing out how you can improve customer acquisition throughout different parameters like geo-lift study, a conversion lift, a brand lift study, causality testing. So things that are more technical. And then topics of brand awareness. So brand awareness does improve long-term conversions, even though it's impossible to get a statistical result causation. And with that, when you think about branding or brand awareness campaigns, you want to make sure that the size of the brand equates to what the market share is. So those two parameters matter and complement each other. But we know that anyway, right? We know that brand awareness campaigns, even though the initial short-term attribution isn't positive, over the long term, when we're influencing people's perception, it does improve and reduce the friction of them having to eventually convert and engage with our product or service. So in the event, they also talked about payback periods and lifetime value, which is very important. So you don't want to just think about your customer acquisition cost, and you don't want to just think about the average lifetime value of specific cohorts of your users. You want to also think about the payback period, which is how long does it take for you to pay off the initial cost of that customer. So this is something I've mentioned in my previous videos on mobile app marketing, that app installs and signups are really just vanity metrics. They're not revenue based, so don't give it too much value. Another topic was web to app funnels, which is obviously a big thing if you want to avoid the 30% app store fees. There are a couple of different platforms and agencies that help you with that. One is called FunnelFox. I believe they had a talk as well. And basically you can do a lot of different A/B testings throughout that web to app journey, as opposed to if your ads were all just directing to the app store. The next point is users don't read descriptions, they glance and skim, which makes a lot of sense again. And then this is a huge point in terms of search engines, not just in Google, but obviously in the App Store, Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, where a lot of the algorithms now are going to focus much more on the intent of the user rather than just the keyword that they've chosen. So Apple App Store specifically wants to meet the intent of the keyword and not the keyword itself. So just something to keep in mind. Again, this is marketing 101, which is always think from the perspective of your customers. And then this is more to do with teams, right? So the importance of cross-functional collaborations, marketing focuses on acquisition, and then the product team focuses on retention. Basically making sure that those teams are, well versed in what each other's responsibilities, but also how they influence and affect each other. And then this is just if you want to get more reviews for your app, is make sure that you show a review prompt or pop-up at their peak state, which basically means when they're at the most positive mood, to give you a 5-star rating, hopefully. There was also topics of aggregated event measurement versus scan. And basically the conclusion is that there is no perfect attribution, which I've obviously mentioned in my previous videos on attribution. You have to take a look at different data sources and try to have a consistent narrative, but also question the data. Don't be biased when you're approaching data analysis. So summarizing the event itself, it was very educational, quite pricey in my opinion. I got the agency ticket. But overall, made a few connections. I've learned a ton, so I'll definitely recommend going to the next App Promotion Summit or APS event. If you're interested in learning more about mobile app marketing, there were a lot of interesting vendors there. So SaaS companies related to mobile app marketing. Hopefully you've enjoyed this mini vlog / video. Until next time, peace.